over the course of the last few years, as I have seen beyond watching the sons and daughters of athletes that I've watched before, that I've covered before, populate all of sports in a way that make aging inescapable during the pandemic and beyond. The loss of people, of parts of my childhood, and in the case of Vin Scully, the loss of what feels like a time that will never be allowed to return. A broadcaster aging with grace for many, many years, getting a heroic ending in retirement and a heroic ending in life that makes the eulogy so florid that I'm not sure, in the way that this dumpster fire of sports commentary has so much acid in, I don't believe that there are very many who will get to be what Vin Scully was for a time, which is a graceful storyteller, beloved by all, who made the athletic experience different than whatever it is you feel toward Joe Buck. Joe Buck is great at this, but the baseball announcer from a different time who becomes your friend, because in the original incarnation, he's someone who exists in your head. He's doing it on the radio. He's doing it through the static. He is telling you black and white, from the times of black and white radio, not television. He's telling you what was happening in the pastoral game during a slower time when you weren't in your devices and you needed him to be your eyes. You needed him to be a poet and universally beloved. The commentator is just not allowed to be that anymore. The baseball broadcaster, that feels like we bury that with Vin Scully. It goes with him. Hell, even in Miami, Dave Van Horn didn't stay great. He's a Hall of Famer, but you saw as he aged out that he wasn't still great. And Vin Scully was universally respected by his peers as the best for putting you in a place when you didn't have the eyes for it, and he took you there slowly in a different America to tell you the stories that were moving. He knew when to sit out. You never saw the ego. We had him on the show. We were deferential when he was on the show. We treated him like a gentleman legend who had walked in the room as a bit of a ghost. He was a number one seed because it seemed like his life, on the air for more than 50 years, it seemed like his life was as it was described as his number one seed in our tournament, because if you saw him, he always looked distinguished and somehow sounded even more impeccable than he looked, and this is how he looked.
Vin Scully looks like the one real human in a Disney movie filled with animated talking animals.
And they're happy animals. Like, it's a happy world. It's not like there's a bitter chipmunk running around there who's trying to bite people. Nobody's rabid. Everything is pleasant. And he's
impossible. There always has to be a foil in the happy animal kingdom that they have to overcome. Yeah.
Let's play some of the sounds from our interview with Vin Scully so people can remember fondly that we are really burying a time, because there are pieces of my childhood. I've told you all of the stories where I see the places that I played on as a kid in Miramar, paved and different and whatever. All that remains for me there are the memories, and there is nostalgia and sadness there. But there have been deaths recently that have hit me harder than deaths used to hit me, because I feel like I'm burying something with thudding finality that I'm never going to be able to see again.
And it's also fairly cool for him as well that I was going through all the library of stuff, and we got to do this for him when he was living, because he retired in 2016, and everyone did their tributes, and he was able to step away and appreciate all of the love from Dodger fans. He was their broadcaster for 50 years, 60 years, and he was able to experience this while he was living. I think that's really cool. But to your point about how this won't exist anymore, I just don't think it's almost impossible to hide your personality anymore, right? I think Vin Scully, I don't know if he hid his personality or if he was just always regal man.
Groomed, perfect,
Yeah.
impeccable is what he was giving off. I'm assuming that the 30 for 30 in 10 years will uncover all sorts of things that will make us
Sex
uncomfortable. Just something
Roy.
terrible. You really went to a place that I did not go because it requires him to go in with
that was Billy?
You made you
No, that was Roy. I think that was Roy. I think that was Roy.
You were framed by Billy there, Roy. What do you mean you think it was Roy? It was the painkiller.
I think I heard
it was
Roy say
clearly you.
something.
It sounded nothing.
I've been
Why would
hearing
I say
voices
that?
all day.
You just had. Did you have Vin Scully walking into it in his suit?
Roy?
Let's play some more of the sound. I meant to start the show today with hot, shot, hit, foul, but we have a couple of sounds here from the Vin Scully folder that I'd like to remind people of in the name of love and honor and nostalgia.
Back about my third year, about 1952, the Dodgers were playing Cincinnati, and Cincinnati had an outfielder named Lloyd Merriman. I'll never forget it. And Lloyd hit a ball foul, and my mind told me to say, hot shot, hit, foul.
No,
And
no, Vin.
And it never came out that way. And everybody in the booth fell down, and I was absolutely mortified. And the reason I remember Lloyd Merriman, I started filling. He's a former Marine Air Corps pilot, saw combat in Korea. I did on and on. That really, that had to be, considering how young I was, that was about it.
I don't know that I can give him a better compliment for grace and professionalism than to say, I don't know if he invented it, but it feels to me like he invented it. The idea of getting out of the way, being silent, and letting the sound speak because you've put down your ego. You know you're great at this. You don't hiccup a word. You go years and years and years broadcasting, and it's just all clean and slow and the right pace. And he knew when to get out of the way and just let the sound and the emotion of an arena or a ballpark speak to the audience.
Two prime examples of this. One, it's the Hank Aaron home run that broke the Babe Ruth record, and the Kirk Gibson home run in the World Series.
Very few broadcasters have that kind of reverence and respect for what it is that they're broadcasting and who it is that they are and what their role is around the framing of moments for history, because when you're in the presence of them, you need to nail those calls. Those are calls that come with pressure, and they are calls that echo through sports for many, many years, and he knew when and how to get out of the way. And instead of saying, Al Michaels, do you believe in miracles, just letting what surrounded him speak for him.
And your instinct as a broadcaster there is very self-important. I have to nail this, right? Like, I have to come up with the line that people will remember. I have to say the thing that is memorable with whatever's just happened. And Vin never thought that was his role. His role was the moment will live in perpetuity, not me. He had like a very, I don't want to say self-deprecating, but almost like, this isn't about me. And again, you do not see that in sports broadcasting.
I want to ask the audiences before we play him I think he's just doing a grocery list so that you can hear how soothing and tranquil his words are when, again, before television, you didn't really he had to be your eyes. But as Amazon goes to the Dude Perfect guys and creates all this ancillary second screen programming around football, when I say this time we bury it with Vin Scully, can you guys in your imagination tell me who it is going to make me wrong on that one? How it is that someone in the modern age can make me wrong on that one by being beloved broadcaster that gets it right for 60 years, right until the very end, and we bury him with grace. The eulogies are not complimentary because they have to be. It's because we don't have anything else. We don't have anything else but grace, gentlemen, and voice for generations.
You're never going to find that again. That's it. It's done.
I think Doc Emmerich deserves a shout here. I know that he doesn't broadcast hockey anymore, but when he passes, like, I don't think people have a negative word to say about that guy.
Constantly cheery for different reasons, right? It's not the grace of the broadcast, although he was great at the broadcast. It's just because he constantly brought what felt like a sunshine to what it is that he was watching, a joy of watching it. And not a whole lot of people are going to say very much that's negative about him either. But I do think he pales I think everyone in the history of the industry pales in the shadow of the man that we just lost at 94.